welcome to the Africa Wicked Women Voices podcast. My name is Oluwapelumi Aino, and I am your host and friend. Earlier this year, about 100 Wikimedians, athletes, and experts gathered together in Frankfurt, Germany for the Wikimedia Future Lab 2026. If you are a Wikimedian listening to me right now and you are wondering what is Wikimedia Future Lab, wow, in about a few minutes, you and I will be learning more about this exclusive conference, its relevance within the Wikimedia movement, and why you should pay attention to the findings from the laboratory experiments. Today, I am joined in the virtual studio by three amazing African women who are participants of the Wikimedia Future Lab 2026. In the studio with me, I have Tochi Precious. Tochi Precious is a language advocate and co-founder of Igbo Wikimedia User Group. She is joining me from Finland. And also, I have Olubusola Afolabi, a community engagement lead at Free Knowledge Africa. Busola is joining me from UK. Welcome, Olubusola Afolabi. Welcome, Tochi Precious. So good to have you here today. And the last but not the least person I have in the studio with me this afternoon is Ruby the Brand. She is a co-founder of Africa Wicked Women, and she is joining me from Ghana. Hello, Ruby. How you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me. Tochi, how you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So good to have you here today. And if you are an OG on the Africa Wicked Women Voices podcast, you should have seen Tochi before. This is the second time I'm bringing Tochi on the podcast. So Tochi, welcome back again. So good to have you on board this time, on the podcast. And Olubusola Folabi, it's Olubusola Folabi's first time on the podcast. Olubusola, how you doing today? And how does it feel to be on our podcast this afternoon?
I'm doing really fine. I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're most welcome. Okay, Ruby the Brand. She is the co-founder of the Africa Wicked Women community organization. Ruby, okay, how you doing today? So good to have you here. This is the second time I'm bringing you on board as well. The first episode we had on the podcast, you and two other co-founder of the Africa Wicked Women were my guests on the show, and this is the second time I'm bringing you on board as well. Ruby, how you doing today?
Doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Bye. Thank
It's
you
a
very much.
pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining. All right. Olubusola, I was checking your profile on LinkedIn and I saw your post that you made about the Wiki Future Lab 2026. You had said it was really historical for you. The highlight for you was getting an opportunity to visit the physical occasion of the Wikimania, the first Wikimania conference ever held, and that was in 2005. How does it feel? Can you tell us about that shortly?
Well, it was really, I'm trying to find a word for it. It was really exciting to see what was in place like as far back as 20 years ago. And to see that this movement didn't just start, like it has been in existence, and there are people that have put in a lot for we that joined like in the last 5, 10 years to be a part of this movement. It was really exciting, and watching the documentary of how the first Wikimedia came about was, I mean, it was a surreal experience for me. I was really glad to have experienced that.
Oh wow, beautiful. Good to hear that. Okay, Tochi, I'm coming to you. Wow, Tochi, I stumbled on something recently and I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Well, it's really mind blowing for me. So I was going through your page as well, and then I saw the post you made about the Wiki Future Lab 2026 as well. And you said it's still an experiment here, and more experiments are still going to come out literally. Then you mentioned wiki voice, and that was my first time actually interacting with that word. You had said you and your team are currently working on how to make Wikipedia and all the Wikimedia project more accessible in terms of audio and voice feature, literally. So, can you shortly, let's say in about a few seconds, tell us what Wiki Voices is all about and what we might be expecting at the end of the day?
So Wikivoice was one of the experiments my team and I came up with during the Futures Lab. And the essence of that project, we're still working on it, is because we have a lot of languages from the Global South which are oral and are not written. So we were looking at a situation where we are able to do oral citation on Wikimedia projects. And that's the reason why we came up with the Wikivoice project. So right now we're still trying to look for funding, working on it gradually, but yeah, hopefully it would be a success to help a lot of languages across Africa and Asia.
Wow, beautiful. Well done to you, Tochi, and your team. I've always known you to be a language, a professional, so passionate about language. And it's beautiful to actually see and read about some of the things you do within the movement. Ruby, okay, so I'm going to ask you as well. What was the experience like for you? The WikiLab 2026. What was the experience like for you as well? Was it your first time visiting the physical occasion of the Wikimania, the first ever Wikimania conference as well?
Yeah, that was actually my first time, and it was really a wonderful experience, and kind of like reflecting back how this whole thing started. We were given some kind of background how the whole thing was set up, and it's really amazing how people had that, how people believed in that vision as little as it was, and see how big it is now. Yeah. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so Tochi, we're diving right into the conversation. We have a big conversation in front of us this afternoon. Tochi, when I first heard about Wikifuture Lab, in all sincerity, I was like, is that some sort of laboratory where experiments are being carried out to maybe extrapolate future trends within the movement? So I'm certain there will be one or two persons out there at home listening to us this moment who might have no prior knowledge of Wikifuture Lab. And also, I'm very much aware that there is a lot of work in terms of research that precedes the conference itself. So, Tochi, can you tell us what the Wikimedia Future Lab is, why it is important, why it matters for the movement, and why Wikimedians everywhere should pay attention to its outcomes, the research insight released from some of the experiments being carried out, and the discussions that were during the conference?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Just in the simplest of forms, the Wikimedia Futures Lab was basically a kind of get together and also a bigger ongoing process where Wikimedians from different parts of the world, like 100 Wikimedians from different parts of the world, met in Frankfurt. And these Wikimedians consisted of editors, organizers, folks from different regions and backgrounds, of different ages and like age grades, experts from different backgrounds, both the media, policy, and different places came together for a 3-day talk, panels as well, and also breakout sessions. And this didn't just come from anywhere. It actually started with smaller workshops in 2025 at Wikimania. and then Wikimedia Deutschland and the Wikimedia Foundation decided to make it an in-person event from I think 28th of February to 28th of January to 1st of February, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, it matters a lot to the movement because Wikipedia and other projects, so let me say Wikipedia and other projects are built by volunteers, like we all know. And this has happened for like since 25 years ago. And then now, with where we are, the world around us is changing really fast. You think about how people trust information online. You think about the explosion of the AI generated stuff. You think about new laws. You think about the shifting technology. And this lab actually helped us to understand these different trends, talk about them, and like how they hit us locally as Wikimedians from different countries and wherever region we're coming from. And then we had to start brainstorming ways to stay relevant so that we can also like keep making knowledge free and available for everyone, like we have already been doing. And it wasn't a place where we were making any kind of very big decision or where we were voting for a kind of final strategy. It was more like just a space, like I said, a get together where we talked, we sparked ideas, we built a kind of stronger sense of belonging and tried to think about where we wanted to go. We had different workshops, different panels. People came up with different ideas, how admins are doing, how they wanted to get better, mobile editing, AI's impact, like just talked about different things. And I believe that as Wikimedians everywhere in the world, we should pay attention to the outcomes and those experiments, because they weren't like things that were handed out to us from like top to bottom or kind of thing. They were practical ideas that we as Wikimedians that we came up with, and there were discussions and kind of research findings that any local group as well, or maybe any affiliate or region or even an individual or even communities can just like pick up and decide to try it on their own wherever you are. Maybe Africa, Europe, Asia, North America, anywhere in the world. These conversations and the research they're like ways to help us to still stay relevant and still be inclusive and work with real people on the ground. So it's about making sure that the whole movement stays strong together, and we are connected to the like current changes that the world is going through right now. So yeah, that's like basically a summary of what it is and why it is important for us.
Right. Now, Ruby, I'd like to come to you. Okay, I spent some quality time going through some of the research findings and discussion insights from the Wikifuture Lab meta page. And one thing remains constant in all the information I interacted with: changing patterns in how people get, consume, and reuse information. Ruby, you would agree with me that the procedure that precedes information consumption in today's world has changed drastically from what it used to be about 10 years ago. A bulk of the conversation during the Wikimedia Future Labs, just like Tochi highlighted while speaking, kind of centers around the changing pattern. So Ruby, I really want you to walk us through it. What's the Wikimedia, a Wikimedian, sorry, from anywhere in the part of the world, whether in Africa or out of Africa, watching and listening to you right now, needs to know about this trend, and what does this mean for the movement in general and for our work within the ecosystem?
Thank you so much for this question. I must say that the Wikimedia Future Lab event is one of the best events, wiki events I've ever attended. What makes it best is because we gathered to call a spade, to talk about the real issues and not just to flatter ourselves. Because whether we like it or not, the world has changed and the way people are searching for information has changed. And this is one of the clearest insight that stood out from this event personally. And it's very interesting, and we all know, and even practically we all are experiencing it. We all are even beginning or are already searching for information differently, unlike the traditional way that we used to, go to search engines and search for long text of information, trying to scroll through bulky text. This has changed in this century, and people are now going to AI tools, short forms of videos, looking at personality feeds, influencers. That's why TikTok is now kind of one of the hotcake places that young people are kind of finding information, because they want to connect to people, they want to hear people say things. And even if you look at Google has already incorporated an AI chat box in the search engine, because people are no longer searching for information like list the hotels in Zanzibar. For instance, I want to go to Zanzibar, list hotels in Zanzibar, or what are the hotels in Zanzibar? People are asking Google, like, which hotels in Zanzibar will give me the best vacation experience? And so it's querying the data, and some of these questions cannot be found in those kind of long text. AI will kind of analyze this information and suggest to you which one is best, which you will not naturally or easily like find in a text, because AI is going to do all the comparison analysis and provide you with such recommendation. And we have seen a lot of these AI incorporation in even databases, academic databases. For instance, Science Direct, for instance, has tried to incorporate AI chatbots in the search engine so that people can find or people can access information easily by querying the data rather than scrolling through a whole lot of text, articles, and trying to manually search for information that they are looking for. AI can just do that in a click, can just summarize the article in 1 second. And this has actually like affected a whole lot in people's behavior. And for Wikipedia like this, and we as Wikimedians, it's calls for a concern for us to pay attention to this global trend, because Wikipedia is no longer becoming sort of like the final destination where people are finding information. However, most of these information that people are finding in the AI tools, chat box, and all of that are sometimes from Wikipedia, because these tools are built on certain kinds of data, and some of these data are taken from Wikipedia because we are an open source community, and so everyone is allowed to leverage on the information that Wikipedia provides. And so anyone can use it, AI systems can leverage it. And so there's no proper attribution as to whether this information came from Wikipedia, and that's where we see the gap. And another thing also that is of importance for us to pay attention to is the current generation of people that are coming have short attention span. They are interested in short videos, audios, quick summaries rather than long text. So the behavior of people, or how people naturally want to consume this kind of information, have changed significantly. And people are also shifting from that kind of institutional based information to just rely on even personalities. That's why people go on TikTok. They want to see people talk. They want to interact with people directly. And so a lot of videos are kind of like making it easy for people to really get what they want easily. And so all of these things are something that we as Wikimedians need to pay attention to, make sure that we are meeting people where they are. Where are the young people finding information? How are they behaving? How can we adapt our platform to ensure that they access information? How can we improve our platforms? How can we diversify in terms of how knowledge is created? And so the Wikimedia Lab platform presented a whole lot of hypotheses, and I was so surprised, like the hundreds of hypotheses that people came up with. I was like, are these Wikimedians? Because the ideas were out of the box and are not like the traditional way that, we think around our wikis. They are like going out of the box. And I think that it's time for us as Wikimedians to begin to think out of the box, to begin to appreciate or take hold of these global trends on how people are searching for information, and begin to adapt to suit these people, because we can't continue to still pride ourselves with something that we have lived for over 25 years. We need to see what is trending and begin to adjust to it so that we don't get out of the system. That is what I would say. Yeah. And there's an interesting quote that Alex Tarkowski, he's a strategy director of Open Future Foundation, and so a board member of Wikimedia Europe. He said emphatically, and I quote, he said, I already heard 3 times AI impact. I haven't heard wiki impact. I think it's really important to flip it the other way, because we are told all the time that we are being impacted by AI, and it is in a way true, but we can also impact the emerging AI ecosystem. So it's time for us to impact the emerging AI ecosystem, because whether we like it or not, AI is using our information, and we need to ensure that we also position ourselves in that ecosystem as Wikimedians. Yeah.
Ruby, that was a mouthful. Olubusola, I'd like to come to you. Since 2016 to date, Wikipedia has continued to experience decline in page view, despite the incredible surge in internet growth over the years. According to Christopher, who was a former chair of the Board of Trustees, Wikimedia Foundation, I went through his research findings. The gap between the internet growth and Wikipedia page view is about 92 points gap, which means there is a 93% internet growth rate and minus 9% Wikipedia page view. Now, when you see, I try to look at the graphic representation of the decline from 2016 till now. And, from 2016, you could see the decline going down towards the end of 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, you have it below the line. And 2020, because of the COVID-19, you have a little bit of surge above the line. And from 2020, it started coming down again up until 2025, sorry. Now, to make this a little bit personal, Ruby said this the other time. She said now when people search for information online, the first thing you're going to interact with is the AI summary, Google AI summary. So when I search for anything on the internet, on Google, sorry, the first thing I get is the Google AI summary, and sometimes it's the tip of the iceberg that I need. Though in most cases, I would still pry further in order to check Wikipedia and other sources for robust insight. Now with so many people, Olubusola, now getting information from AI tools, social media, or even quick search summaries, it's obvious the Wikipedia is not their first point of contact in getting information anymore. How is the Wikimedia movement based on the conversations that we had during the WikiFuture Lab, earlier this year? How is the Wikimedia movement, strategically adapting this rapid advances in AI an evolving information ecosystem in order to be a key part of how people still find information.
Yeah, thank you, Ella, for letting me. The chat you were referring to was one really interesting panel session we had where these trends were discussed. And this question you asked was something that was largely discussed at the Futures Lab because it was something that was evident that was going on. Just as Ruby had said, uh, direct Wikipedia traffic is rapidly declining because a lot of people are searching for information in different ways and different formats. And even the younger generations would prefer to get their information from TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts rather than reading through a long Wikipedia article. But one key factor remains that most of these AI models, they are trained on Wikipedia content because Wikipedia actually provides the information that these AI models are trained on. So Wikipedia still remains a very valuable asset or a very valuable data set, even now more than ever. But the difference now is that the relationship between the users and the Wikipedia content is being changed. So there's now like a third party, a middle party, which are all of these AI chatbots where people get information from. So they are still consuming Wikipedia knowledge, just that they are consuming it in a different form through AI chatbots. Because, like you said, if you search something on Google and you say the date of birth of a particular artist, you get the AI overview, and then you see the information, and then it references. You see that the source is from Wikipedia, and very few people will actually click on the Wikipedia link to go to the Wikipedia article to read the article because they have gotten like the brief summary from the AI chatbot, but those informations were actually gotten from the Wikipedia article. So as a movement, as the Wikipedia, as a community, what we can do is to meet people where they are, right? So the goal should be to bring free knowledge to the platform that people use rather than wait for them to come to Wikipedia. And I've been looking at the Wikipedia's Instagram videos, and there have been a lot of information that have been shared in 30 seconds reels. And Ruby also mentioned that the attention span of people are drastically reduced. So no one will spend 30 minutes reading through a Wikipedia article, but they will spend 30 seconds watching an Instagram reel. So putting all of this information in ways that people would be able to, the new ways people are searching for information, bringing those information on those kind of platforms are things that as a movement we can do. And also in a world where AI is a massive assistance, because we cannot deny the fact that AI makes a lot of things easy. It helps people become more efficient, more effective, and do things at a faster pace. But we should see AI here as an assistant and not a replacement for Wikimedians, because I know there have been a lot of talks about having AI generate Wikipedia articles. But I think even more than ever, we need that human touch, we need that human accuracy to Wikipedia. Because yes, people, if I want to search for the date of birth of an artist, I go to the AI overview and I get the date of birth. But if I want to get like an accurate source to get like a reference where I know that this information is correct, I'll go to the Wikipedia article and then I would obviously believe what I see there over what the AI chatbot has given me, and I'll be able to get like some references that I can compare to confirm that yes, this information is accurate. But if we start using our AI to generate information on Wikipedia, and then this AI models are trained on information on Wikipedia, it just creates like a limbo of AI regurgitated information being saturated. So having AI as an assistant for contributors to probably help identify articles that needs to be updated, support editors rather than replace them. That human touch has to still be there. Another thing the Wikimedia Foundation could do is advocate for a fair value exchange, right? Because if these AI models are being trained on volunteer labor, because a lot of articles out there are written by volunteers with volunteer time, they need to give like proper credits. Like I know, yes, Google AI overview does it. When you search for information, it tells you where it gets that information from. But not every AI model does that. They just give you that information that has been compared with other information they get out there. But if they are like there's a fair value exchange, there's contribution where it's like, okay, yeah, this is information, but this information was gotten from Wikipedia, and here's the links to Wikipedia article that you could read. You could gain more understanding, you could gain more research on this particular subject that you had asked for. It's going to like really help everyone in this society or this way we found ourselves. And maintaining Wikipedia as an essential infrastructure, because even if people do not directly visit wikipedia.org, we must still remain the like reliable source where people get their information from, because the fact checking layer that Wikipedia provides is something that hasn't really been, we haven't like really found like competition for it. You would always trust the information you get because you know that these are fact checked information. These are accurately referenced and accurately sourced information, and that's the human created knowledge where all of these things are based from. So instead of trying to get or join the trends of having uh, AI content on Wikipedia, because we are trying to retain users, we should be the knowledge infrastructure, even though we are not like the front facing interface where people go to get knowledge. But we know that whatever knowledge we are putting out there, directly or indirectly, people are still consuming them. So you can't really judge the metrics based on the number of people that are actually clicking on the Wikipedia article, because that AI summary you saw, that short reel you saw, that TikTok video you saw, most of their information at the back end we're still gotten from Wikipedia. So as a community, we must remember that, and we can also do things or put on strategies whereby even on all of those platforms where people run to get information from, we should start putting our information on there also. I think that way we will be able to pass out more information and stand with the vision of Wikipedia to provide free access to information for everyone.
The other time I touched on the decline in the page view, right? And that was what Olubusola provided, more insights into. However, the interesting thing is Wikipedia is not just battling with declining page view, but also decline in registration of new editors, decline of administrators, decline of users with extended rights. In my view, I think these things are actually expected because of its domino effect. Page views started declining in 2016, and by 2020 we started seeing decline of new editors coming into the movement, because when less people interact with our content, less people are more likely to be interested in contributing, because I believe every Wikipedia editor was first a user before becoming a contributor. Now, with the elephant in the room, which is AI has really exacerbated the whole thing. And you and I, Tochi, I'm coming to you right now. You and I both know that AI is going nowhere. I think Ruby said that the other time. AI is going nowhere. AI is here. And the question is not even whether we want to choose to engage with it, because it is already engaging with our content. Like Olubusola said, a lot of this LLM, large language model, trains on Wikipedia data. So it's already engaging with hers. So now, Tochi, now that AI is becoming such a big part of creating and sharing knowledge, information across the world, how does the Wikimedia movement plan to walk this path without losing that human touch? Because we all know the backbone of Wikipedia are volunteers, humans, you and I, who contribute to the ecosystem. Over to you, Toji.
Yeah, you're right. And Busola also mentioned like the human touch, and it's that human touch that is exactly what makes Wikipedia and every other Wikimedia project special. I always tell people that when you talk about democracy, and you want to experience true democracy, you should come to the Wikimedia movement. And it's really something, I don't know how, like, I don't have a word to qualify it, like a word for it, but it's really something very, very special. And we know that Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects are built by thousands of volunteers who care actually we argue on talk pages, we check sources, and we work together to make sure that we get things right. And that's why Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects are trusted. And the good thing is that last year, 2025, the Wikimedia Foundation launched its official AI strategy. Think 2025 to 2028 AI strategy. And that's the message is clear, or was clear, and it was that AI should support us humans and not to replace us. So they call it humans first. And the idea is to use AI for the things I'll call the boring stuff, like repetitive technical stuff, so that we volunteers can focus our time and our energy on things that really do matter. So for example, we can use AI for patrolling. We can use AI for spotting problems faster or handling routine checks. And while humans can also, like I mentioned, we can continue to argue on talk pages, to check sources, to discuss tricky topics, to build consensus, and make sure that knowledge is accurate and also fair. So the foundation still really cares. And I think there was also, as at last year, if I'm not mistaken, there was also an early experiment with AI generated article summaries, and the community pushed back on that. And that still shows that the human voice still decides what happens in the Wikimedia movement. And the whole point is to keep Wikipedia and other projects human driven at the core, and AI will just be the helpful tool to support us on the background, or in the background, to do to make this easier, kind of. So in that way, we are keeping the thing that makes Wikimedia or Wikipedia unique, which is real people collaborating with care, with curiosity, with accountability, with neutrality. Is there anything, okay, verifiability? I wanted to say verificability, if there's anything like that. But then, yeah, that's just it. Humans first. That's the strategy.
I want to come to you again, Olubusola, right? Before I segue to Ruby. Now, Olubusola, I would like you to give a very succinct response to this question I want to ask you. Wikipedia was built by the global north, and for the global north, I think that is arguably, yeah, literally. And I think a lot of regions were not really put into mind, were not at heart, I would put it that way, while it was created, which speaks so much about the volume of underrepresentation we are currently dealing with within the ecosystem. Now, the other time I mentioned going through Christopher, who was a former chair, board of trustee of the Wikimedia Foundation research. And in his research finding, he highlighted this, and I'd like to read this out. It said, English, it's now more than translating English articles. It's more about content, right? It's about creating, it's more about content created by underrepresented communities, about topics we care about, using sources we trust, through tools designed for how we actually use the internet, which means redistributing foundation resources dramatically towards the global south. It means accepting that English Wikipedia's dominance might need to diminish for the movement to survive. That was the word of Christopher in his research findings, right? I might have paraphrased a little bit, right? No, like words for words. Now, Busola, in light of pursuing this collective knowledge equity goal, we all know that the main goal of the Wikimedia movement is knowledge equity, democratizing knowledge, knowledge for the people, by the people. We are the people creating the knowledge, contributing to it for the whole world to have access to it, where anyone from any part of the world can actually contribute to the movement. Now, Busola, in light of pursuing this collective knowledge equity goal, what steps can African community take to increase the rate of new contributors on Wikipedia now that we are face to face with steady declination of contributors? Now, I'd like you to, I know you might have a lot of insight you want to actually provide to this question, but really like you to just, make it very snappy, a very succinct response. Thank you very much. Olubusola, over to you.
Thank you for that question. And it's something that is really prevalent because during the Futures Lab, there were three major things we discussed. We discussed the content, we discussed the contributors, and we discussed the users. And so contributors, like I don't know if it's Ruby or Precious that said it, are the backbone of the community. And so as Africans, as contributors, because in the last 10 years, we've realized that we have had a lot of more contributors come from the global south who have started knowing about Wikipedia and want to contribute to Wikipedia. And one of the very important things that I have noticed and I have personally experienced is the lack of sources on the internet, because Wikipedia relies on accurate sources, right? And if I have this information and I have no source to back it up, I can't just put it there on a Wikipedia article. And so this happened without having where to point it to. So I think that's one thing African communities should really pay attention to, trying to get reliable sources. And because of the part of the world we come from, most of our historical or most of our histories, they are passed down orally, which is why I'm really excited about the Wiki Voice project that Tochi and her team are embarking on, because it will really help a lot, because we have a lot of this history being passed down from generation orally, but then they are not written anywhere. And so if I want to reference that, I can't reference it because there's no avenue for me to reference an orally passed down history, because I have to point to the book, the website, the journal, or the article where it was written in. So if African communities can focus on that, providing an avenue whereby we have all of these sources in whatever format they could come through, and we can actually reference that, that would be really big. And one more thing I think we can do is create a welcoming experience for new users, which was something that was really spoken about at the Features Lab. And even with interactions with fellow Wikipedians, people don't really feel welcomed when they come in. Most times, your first article is always nominated for deletion, or your first edit is always reverted, and that could be really discouraging for people who want to put in their volunteer time to contribute on Wikipedia. So provide a community, provide a safe space for new users, because as much as we're trying to get new users, we're also trying to retain the ones that are coming in. So having this safe space, having this community feeling, having physical events. I mean, yeah, I know we're in a world of where we could always have online meetings, but there's this same physical events does where you come together in a space and you see people who are doing the same thing with you. It provides some form of community, some form of physical interaction, where even if you're facing issues in Wikipedia, you realize that the person sitting beside you can relate to what you're going through, and it just forms some sort of connection. And the last thing I'm going to add is for us to go into more projects, or it's like a digitization project, which is something Finnish Africa has been doing for a few years, trying to get all of these reliable sources out there. Because yes, we don't have these sources, but they do exist. They do exist in like libraries, museums. You'll be surprised at the kind of information or history or culture that are like withering down or dying down in physical libraries and physical archives. Try to put them out there so people know that, okay, yes, these sources exist, and when we know that these sources exist, it will help us to better contribute to Wikipedia, because we can point to the sources to back up the claims we are making on the articles we're writing.
So I'd really like us to wrap up quickly, and I'll come to you, Ruby, please. Very, very shortly, very succinct, right? You are a gender advocate. You are the co-founder of Africa Wiki Women, a community that actually supports creating and bridging the underrepresentation gap of African women on Wikipedia in terms of content and leadership. Now, Ruby, did any ideas emerge from the Wikimedia Future Lab workshop conference held in Germany on how underrepresented group now in the context of African women or women in generally can be better represented on Wikipedia. I'd like you to very shortly, please, Ruby. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that emerged from the Future Lab events in terms of how we can address the issue of marginalized communities. For so long, one of the things that we also see in a lot of the discussion is how Wikipedia or Wikimedia can kind of review or lower its barriers and ensure that marginalized communities are also well represented. Like Olusola did mention, some of the references we cannot even find. And even if you look at Wikipedia's high stake in the kind of references or the kind of publications that women should have before they can be even written about, it's so high. And most of these women have not even won a Grammy Award. But we in the local community know that these women are notable. We have our local publication, but most of the times they are not accepted because they are not, they haven't won certain kind of award. And another thing also is has to do with lowering editing barriers. Some women, especially when we did our technical research as African women, we did a technical research that highlight that the interface of Wikipedia is kind of technical and not user friendly, and sometimes it makes it difficult for women to want to love to edit on it. So improving the user experience for users can significantly enable a lot more women to be on this platform to edit. And also incorporating assistive AI tools that can help people to edit, to translate, to support editors, so that it's not just like that kind of technical interface that we know. Things have changed. The world have changed. People are building a lot of interactive tools that are engaging, that are providing feedback, that are, engaging these audience and editors. And so I think that Wikimedia can do a lot in terms of improving its project user interface. And also another big thing is recognizing that motivation, because people come to Wikimedia and say, what do I get from editing Wikipedia? What do I get? Because people on TikTok and they are getting what they want to get. They get visibility, they promote their brand. It's a give and take issue. So people are asking this question because when they go on all of these platforms putting in content, there's something that they are gaining from it. But one will ask you, what would they gain when they edit Wikipedia? And this is a long-standing question. There are a lot of benefit. We need to kind of amplify the benefit more so that people can see why it is important to be part of this community, to contribute, because there's so much benefit that contributing to Wikipedia present. But I think that has not really been communicated clearly. And another thing is, in the age where a lot of people are contributing to information, even people are creating content as 5 times in a day consistently, we are seeing a decline in how people are editing. For instance, as of 2025, Wikipedia saw 40% decline in new editorship registration compared to 2019. And that's a significant decline. And when we look at existing editors, they've stalled. And when we look at those with extended rights, they are kind of declining. Why are we seeing this in an age where people are very hungry to create information? There is something that we need to do. We need to kind of see how this kind of energy is directed on our platform, rather than we trying to get people to change and try to adapt to a kind of technical system. We need to see how we can kind of direct some of this energy to contributing on Wikipedia platform in a way that people feel excited to do. We have Wikimedia Commons, a very interesting project, but then it's kind of boring in a way for people to contribute because there's so many content that people can easily donate free, but they are not sure how that is going to benefit them. Like I said, we need to communicate the benefit clearly and
Right.
make our platform. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that these are some of the things that we should really pay attention to as Wikimedians. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ruby. I'm Touchy Precious. Thank you very much for coming on board today. We had to keep you beyond time. I'm Touchy, your last word. What's your last word to anyone listening to you right now, male and female, and a Wikimedian from all across the world listening to you right now? Your last word, your pattern word for them.
Wikipedia belongs to all of us.
Yes.
Wikimedia projects belong to all of us. And we need you as a human to continue to keep or put in that human touch so that we can make knowledge free and accessible to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Over to you. What's your pattern word for anyone listening to you right now?
I would say that Wikimedia has a future, and that future is us. And when we talk about future of Wikimedia, we are not just talking about today. We are talking about many years to come. And if we want to impact the many years to come, it starts now. And so it's embedded on all of us as Wikimedians, as editors, to put in our best, because it's an open platform. We choose how we decide to make it. And so, like Tochi said, it's the humans in the Wikimedia that still decides what needs to be done or what needs not to be done. So we here need to decide very fast and quickly so that we can be able to prepare for the future. Thank you.
All right. Olubusola Falabi, over to you. What's your pattern word for our listeners?
Okay, yeah, so Wikipedia recently celebrated its 25th birthday, and I'm sure the first year no one would have imagined Wikipedia would be what it is today. So I'm excited to see what Wikipedia becomes in the next 25 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Touchy Precious. Thank you for joining me today from Finland. Ruby the Brand from Ghana and Olubusola Afolabi, my sister. Because she's my sister, my sister from the Yoruba land. Thank you so much for joining from the UK. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much, Tochi. Thank you, Ruby. I can't thank you enough. It's so good to have you guys here on the podcast sharing your insights, your expertise with our audience. And I hope to bring you on board again, Olubusola, specifically. This is your first time. We might be looking into a second time having you on our podcast. Thank you very much for joining. And to our audience listening from home, thank you very much for staying tuned. Thank you for listening to the Africa Wiki Women Voices podcast. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the Africa Wiki Women Voices podcast, this is your cue to do so. We have more insightful, amazing conversation. I'll be bringing on board amazing women from different parts of Africa who are going to be sharing a lot of insights, experience, sharing their expertise on this podcast. You do not want to miss out. If you are a Wikimedian, a woman, a man from any part of the world, you're within the ecosystem, or even outside the ecosystem, do well to follow the Africa Wiki Women Voices podcast on her platform and do well to subscribe. You do not want to watch this amazing episode without subscribing. Come on now, just click on the subscribe button and there you are. I remain your friend and host, Oluwapelumi Tosin Aino. Till we meet again in the next episode, I'd say bye-bye, but see you again. Thank you.